Hey everybody. Okay, so today for the first lesson, I'm going to remember to look at the camera. Um, Here's something practical that I haven't seen anybody posting about anywhere, and I've looked. Okay, let's say, and this is a normal thing that happens to people, you get a letter in the mail from the IRS. Doesn't matter what the letter says. You got a letter in the mail from the IRS. Now, a lot of people get very nervous or upset or whatever when they get the letter from the IRS. Some people don't care. Some people want to call them immediately. Some people might call them 6 months from now, whatever. But you know that when you get a letter from the IRS, generally speaking, you're going to have to call them. It's a very inefficient way of having to do anything. Of course, you could make an appointment and go in person. You could send a letter, but most people feel the need to call the IRS. And we know that that means you're going to be on hold for a very, very long time, probably 1 hour, maybe 2 hours. Everybody knows one of the best things you can do is call the IRS first thing in the morning, right when they open. But even then, you're going to be on hold for quite some time, okay? And when you call the IRS, you've got to, once you finally get somebody on the phone, you still don't have a lot of information. You start fumbling, you don't know, because you've been, just your mental energy has been depleted from sitting on hold for so long, right? Okay. So the first lesson I thought we would do today is how to use AI to call the IRS for you and get the information. Because 90% of the time when you call, there's going to just be next steps. You know, they're going to verify your social security number. They're going to verify this and that. Then an agent's going to sit there and look at whatever it is and look at the letter that was sent, tell you why the letter was sent. Either you're going to say, no, this was a mistake, and here's why it was a mistake, or they're going to say something else, and they're going to say, all right, well, fill out this form and send it in, or I'll file a report, or whatever. You know, you get the general idea. Okay. So let's look at the tools we're going to use. And I want to be clear that this is not perfect, okay? This framework that I'm going to show you is not perfect, and I'm not going to teach you how to make the framework. It's just to give you an idea of something practical and useful that a normal person who does not care about technology, who does not care about AI, can use AI for to improve their life, which is the whole point of this channel, all right? So we're going to need to train the AI with some materials. The first materials we're going to need are the PDFs of your tax returns. That's pretty straightforward, and we can put those in a Google Drive. The other thing I might consider is maybe a NOLO guide like this, Stand Up to the IRS, or any other documents about dealing with the IRS. IRS rules would be a great thing to put in there as well, you know, and you can freely scrape those from the internet, different IRS rules that will help you in some way. That's going to be your knowledge base. If you don't know what a knowledge base is, don't worry. Please just keep watching. I'm not going to teach you what it is, but if you just watch the video, you're going to get an understanding of the whole thing. And then from there, you can watch different tutorials from other people of how to put it all together. But please pay attention. I'm really, really doing this to help you. Okay? Okay. So our first knowledge base is going to be the IRS information and some kind of PDF of our tax returns. And a PDF of the letter. Just scan the letter with your phone and throw it on there too. Then we're going to need an AI agent. Now, I'm trying not to be too specific because the AI agents are going to change so fast. I'm sure every day there's going to be some new development from now on because we're getting them so quickly. So this would be the one you would use today, but by the time you watch this video, it may not exist anymore. And that's okay. You'll just be able to Google AI agent and find whatever people are using today and find a quick tutorial. I'm sure that within a few weeks, if not months, all of this will get so much easier. So you may be watching this a year from now and it might be a million times easier than what I'm showing you now. But again, this is just to give you an idea, okay? So the AI agent we're going to use today is called N8N. And I watched this very nice tutorial about how to do a self-hosting install, which means there's two versions of N8N. There's two versions of most AI software. The first one is you go to a website like n8n.com or whatever it is, or chatgpt.com, whatever it is. And the company that makes that software is hosting that software on their servers. And you can just pay them to use it on their servers. Now, it's usually a little bit more expensive to do things that way, but their computers are so much more powerful and they've already trained everything properly that in some cases it may just be cheaper and easier to use their computer. However, if you're like me, you're going to experiment a lot and really push these things to their limits, and you can't afford to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars every day doing that, then finding ways to host their software on your computer, or if your computer is not powerful enough, to host it on some kind of server, is a much more affordable way to experiment. And today I'm going to be showing you what's called a self-hosted version. Even though I'm not hosting it on my computer, I am hosting it on a third party's computer, but they charge a lot less money for the same thing, okay? The other thing we're going to need is APIs. An API is a way that different computer programs talk to other computer programs. And specifically the one we're going to use to make a phone call is called Twilio. And all this does is basically, if you remember modems, this is the virtual modem that connects our AI agent to phone lines to make the phone call. Now, I'm old enough to remember when there were coupler modems with rotary phones, and you'd place the phone on the two suction cup looking things, and then of course later on you could just plug the phone line right into the computer. But this API, it serves the same function. And I suspect that many of you watching this remember like AOL years where, you know, you'd get that AOL modem in the mail that looked like a big power brick. And that's what this does, same thing. Okay, so this is a workflow, and in future videos I'm not going to explain what a workflow is. It should be pretty self-explanatory what a workflow is, but in N8N, these are the different pieces of software that N8N is connecting together for us, and I made this before I started recording the video, and this is just for this purpose of calling the IRS. Now, you'll see lots of other videos online where people have extremely complicated workflows with hundreds and hundreds of pieces of software all working together for different goals, but our goal is pretty straightforward, and that's what I'm trying to show you what you can do, okay? So the first piece of the workflow here is basically the start button. So you'll have the start button, and in ChatGPT, which is the brains of the operation, now you can use all different kinds of LLMs. I just use ChatGPT, it's what people have heard of, okay? ChatGPT is going to work with the agent, some memory for the agent to remember what's going on, and in our Google Drive, we're going to have our IRS book or laws or whatever information about the IRS. We're also going to have our tax returns and our letter from the IRS, okay? And we're going to tell the agent, I want you to call the IRS about this letter and get more information, resolve it if possible, and then email me whatever happens, okay? So the AI agent is going to read from the drive, talk to ChatGPT. It's going to send this request. This is 11 Labs, this button right here. 11 Labs is the thing that provides the voice. Now, I don't know if there are any laws yet about using an AI clone of your own voice to make a phone call to the IRS on your behalf. I suspect that there are no laws about this yet because you're not using a third party to make the call on your behalf. You're using computer software, which is a essentially a clone of yourself. You're using your own voice and you're providing it with your own information to verify. So I don't know what the laws are. This may be illegal depending on where you live. I hope it's not. But you may want to check into it if you're actually going to do this. Again, the whole point of this video is just to give you some ideas about what AI can do for you in normal, everyday things to help you and just get you thinking and moving in that direction. That's all this is, okay? So the 11 Labs will speak for you in your voice because you're going to go on 11 Labs and record a sample of your voice and create a virtual clone of yourself with your voice. Then it will process through to Twilio, which will be the modem making the call back and forth to the IRS. There are easier ways to do this. There are other apps that are already built that in one piece. The reason I'm not showing you those is twofold. One, they're very expensive. They cost about 11 to 15 cents a minute to make a phone call. And if we already know we're going to be on hold for at least an hour, that's going to add up quickly. Whereas the Twilio is like 1 cent a minute, if not less, to call the IRS or something like that. The other reason I'm doing it this way is to show you the pieces of the puzzle and to get you thinking about it. So if you're looking at this, you might realize there's an important piece of the puzzle missing, and that is we need the AI agent to email us when this is done. And so I've just added that tool there, okay? And we'd like it to give us a summary of the phone call, the resolution, the next steps, what to expect. Now, yes, you can make this more complicated. For example, you could add a tool for your Google Calendar if you use Google Calendar, and you could say, the agent might say, check back in 2 weeks, or if you haven't heard from us in a month, or something like that. And yes, you could have it set up a reminder on your calendar. But I'm trying to shy away from that kind of stuff because, again, most of the videos on YouTube about AI are for a certain mindset, a certain type of person who's extremely online, who is already into this stuff and probably doesn't need this tutorial. And so I assume a lot of people watching this may even still keep a paper calendar. I keep a paper calendar. So that's why I'm not adding all that functionality, but it's possible. It's extremely easy and possible to do, all right? So this is not a perfect setup. I didn't put in all of my information. On each of these buttons that you see here, you've got to go in and attach this to your ChatGPT account. You've got to attach this to your Gmail account. You've got to attach this to your Google Drive. You've got to attach this to your 11 Labs account, and you've got to record your voice and do all that. And 9 times out of 10, when you record your voice, they tell you it's some kind of copyright issue or a scam issue, and you've got to verify and fight with their customer service and get it approved. I mean, it's not perfect. We're all still in experimental mode here, but it does work. And you've got to set up one of these Twilio accounts and put a card on it and buy some credit and all that kind of stuff. And of course, you've got to do a test phone call first, have it call you and pretend that you're an IRS agent and talk to it and see how it works before you actually have it call the IRS. Anyway, that's the general idea. I hope you've learned something from this. It's given you some idea of one thing you could do with this. Now, there are a million other types of phone calls that you could automate with this, and I'm definitely going to do a lot more videos about those types of phone calls. I think in the current year, the current time, I think many people agree that phone calls are an extremely inefficient way of communication. But companies and business, all kind of businesses and things use them as a buffer because they simply cannot or do not want to deal with the volume of calls or the volume of communication. And I don't know why that is still an issue. I suspect that very quickly, maybe by the time you watch this video, the companies you're calling will have equivalent AI systems, and your AI is going to just be calling their AI, which is also extremely inefficient because it would be a lot faster to communicate back and forth by email if you're going to have robots talking to robots. But this is one of the weird things about the time we live in. And this is a tool that you can use to get ahead of this before it gets ahead of you. And that's all I'm hoping for. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, I have to ask you to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or thoughts, please leave them in the comments. If your thoughts are simply that the robots are taking over and the world's going to hell, please don't bother commenting. That's not what this is for. This is really supposed to be an optimistic and positive and helpful channel. And that's it. All right, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.